What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Back at Viamoto this morning. We're filming another video for these guys, doing a review. Something a little bit different again. You might have seen my Forza 750 video, maxi scooter. We're actually going to do another scooter today. So that people are quite interested in that. So without further ado, we have got the Piaggio MP3 HPE. Technically a trike, dual front wheel, so if you've got a car license, I will check this, but I believe it's passed your test before 2013, you can ride this on just a car license. And interesting fact, which is not like me, but interesting fact, they do a 500 version of this, but this 300 version is of sufficient dimensions that you actually get congestion charge free. So that's why I'm choosing to test this one out, because as I mentioned on the Forza video, I do a lot of work in London, travelling around London, or I did before COVID, which I'm sure will get back to normal. So this type of vehicle has a particular interest for me, and I know thousands of people who also work in London who are sick of catching the tube, taxis, public transport. This is a very, very credible alternative. So without further ado, let's get on it, let's go and take it for a spin. Right, what do you think? Piaggio MP3 300E Sport. Interesting thing. I'm really keen to see how this works. So I've had a quick run through with it, and it's weird because it's got a locking system, which I assume to be hydraulic. Now it's locked. You see this light here, it's telling you it's locked. As soon as you take the handbrake off and start the throttle, it moves away, and now it'll lean. Then if you push this button again, it's now locked. Look. Push it again, unlocked, and it leans. Locked. Literally just sit on it and it doesn't move. Turn the throttle, away you go. So, as I said before, because this is the 300 version, I think the dimensions of it mean that it actually qualifies for a congestion charge waive in London, whereas the 500 version of this doesn't, because I think it's the length of it, as Gary was telling me in the shop. Just sort these mirrors out. So, I'm quite keen on vehicles like this, and then sort of scooter type vehicles that allow you to get around London and big cities like I'm in now in Sheffield with ease. So I think these are quite important. People seem to be quite interested in it, so I thought I'd take this out for a spin today. This channel's not all about, you know, super sports bikes and 200 brake horsepower ridiculousness. I want to make this channel about, you know, everyday bikers who use bikes for everyday things, not just track days, although I do love track days. So do what I usually do. Look, again, if you're coming at this for an expert opinion, you're probably in the wrong place. I'm not an expert on this, but I suspect not many people are experts on these types of three-wheel scooters, and I think most people are probably looking at it thinking, I wonder what that's like. I wonder if that would solve a problem of me getting around London in ease. So I can give you my opinion from that basis. I'll give you a walk around of all the specifications and details of it later, because I know a lot of you like that sort of stuff, even though it's against my better nature. I don't agree with specs of 200 brake horsepower superbikes particularly, but with stuff like this it's probably important, so we'll do that later. But this is my first impressions. It's really comfy. pulling away from the lights there. It's pokey enough. I wouldn't say it's fast, but it's certainly enough to get around town. It feels actually brakes are good. Right, this is what I'm interested in. How does it lean? Because I feel like I've got two wheels there, and it doesn't really feel. Let's get in here. All right. It takes that corner okay. It doesn't feel that strange. It feels quite stable. I guess having two wheels on the front will do that. I've got like a little secret soft spot for these scooters. I don't know if it came across in the video, but I really enjoyed that Forza 750 video that I did. I thought it was a massive hoot once I learned how to ride it. Alright. So first impressions are actually it handles really nice, it feels stable, just going around those first few bends there. Feels lovely. I mean, look, it's comfy, my feet are up front. I've got a foot brake here. I think that's probably for, I don't really know why there's a foot brake, maybe for helping you out in traffic. Yeah, it feels really, really stable, but also actually quite flickable. Power-wise is okay. I mean, I'm cruising along now. I think that's, yeah, there's not a lot of mid-range. But again, you know, this isn't going to be a dual carriageway type of vehicle really. It's a city machine, but I'm sat, you know, quite comfortably here on the dual carriageway. It's not straining. Yeah, doing 60, 50, 60. Obviously we're in Mexico, don't forget. The dash is all laid out nice. You've got analog clocks, which I actually quite like that. You've got a fuel gauge, hoorah. And I said on video, I will double check, I'll put it up on screen, but you can ride this if you pass your car license before a certain year. We think 2013, but check for accurate answer. Ping! You can, yeah, okay, so you can ride this on a car license, so you don't need to mess around taking a bike license. Let's give it the beans. Yeah, I'm flat open now. I'm doing what, 70. That's enough, isn't it? Right? That's enough for this. It's not killing itself. It's not screaming to death. But I wouldn't suggest really this would be a sort of thing that I'd sit on a motorway for a long period of time with anyway. Get a bit of wind buffeting from the screen. It could do it a bit higher for me. I'm 6 foot 1. Yeah, so yeah, handling's good. The engine is in town, it's good, but it runs out of poke a little bit quickly. Ride quality feels nice, actually. Sat comfortable, comfy seat. The lip up to the pillion seat's a bit close for me. I've got a fat arse though, so that could probably be it. Alright, let's just hang on. Let's go around this tight one here. Feels weird. But it actually doesn't. I mean, it feels weird because I'm expecting it to feel weird, but it doesn't. Look, I'm just leaning in here. Look at this. It actually feels really stable. Alright. It's pulling okay up this hill. The brakes feel good. What else? Build quality. Build quality looks decent. From the Piaggio group, world renowned for scooters. That's kind of, you know, you go to continental Europe and it's just Piaggio everywhere. Like think like Paris and Italy and places like that. Venice, sorry. You know, there's just literally millions of Piaggios. I'll show you in a bit, but there's a big trunk underneath the seat for keeping your stuff. Yeah, so first impressions are actually pleasantly surprised. Really pleasantly surprised, actually. I expected it to be a boat to turn with those two front wheels, but it really isn't. Alright, cool. I'm gonna, so like normal, I'm gonna go and razz this around for a couple of 3 hours, get used to it, so I can give you a decent opinion. And then when I've done that, we'll stop off and do a walk round, and then I'll ride it for a bit more, and then I'll sort of sum it up as I'm taking it back to the dealership. But yeah, first impressions are very positive, actually. I could just see myself in London on this, not on the tube full of all the stinky people. Right, I'll catch you in a bit. Right, so some more thoughts on this bike now. I've been riding it for a while, I've ridden it a few miles. So it doesn't feel any different really to a normal scooter. In fact, if anything, in some of the faster sweepers, it feels more stable, really stable actually, like unnervingly stable. Going around these slow ones here, if you look at this, I mean, yeah, it just it feels easier to handle. It's slightly wider at the front, obviously, so for zipping in and out of traffic, maybe a touch wider, but honestly, I've not felt any difference. The power's plenty, you know, you can cruise along easily at 60 odd miles an hour, no drama whatsoever. The suspension gets a little bit unsettled over bumps. It's not, you know, it's certainly not only suspension, but then again, you know, that's not what you're paying for. This is a city commuter runaround thing, so that's not really that critical. But I'm really enjoying it. You can even, actually, if you're good enough, you can stop and put the stabilizers on. Watch this. Right. And you're still moving, so you can roll up in traffic and never need to put your feet down. Look, and then just take off again, and the stabilizers come off. How cool is that? I love that. So you just pull up, you're in a traffic jam, stop, slow down. Put the stabilizers on, it won't lean anymore. Look. And what I've also noticed is the foot brake applies both front and rear, apparently. But I think the foot brake, and again I'm surmising here, but I think the foot brake is because you can ride this on a car license. So to help people with car licenses, dickhead. So to help car drivers who've not ridden with, you know, brakes on here before, I think that's what the foot brake's for, and I think that's a really clever idea, because it's just like a brake in a car. Who knew? So let's just do a little U-ey here. So if I use this foot brake, yeah, look. Oh, I had to put my feet down there. But actually, I think that's more me being shit than this being shit. I think doing slow speed manoeuvres in this is pretty good. Mirrors are good. I've been doing I've like tried to keep this bopping around my little village and towns and stuff, and look at this, just flipping it around. It's really flickable. Like I said, the only negative really, the suspension does feel a little bit crashy and a little bit not that plush, but you only really notice that when you're going over really rough ground. So my sort of mid-term thoughts on this are, I think it's brilliant for yeah, see the suspension there, look. It's not awesome, but it's not terrible. My sort of mid-term thoughts on this are, yeah, really good. For using this around London, you know, I can really make a case for this. I'm gonna go ride it a bit more, and then we'll do a walk around, and I'll talk you through some stats and figures about it, and some interesting facts. Catch you in a bit. I've been on this a few hours now, cruising around, loving life. It's 24 degrees in March, would you believe? It's like a summer's day. I feel like I'm on holiday on this scooter. So I'm going to go and find somewhere now, and I'll do a walk round and do some spec chat with you, and walk you through some of the finer details of the machine, and then we'll go and hit some twisties, and then I'll sum up my my thoughts before we take it back to Via Moto in Sheffield. So actually, good segue here. Quick extra thanks to Gary at Via Moto in Sheffield. Find out where this is closed. Yeah. So yeah, actually, that's a good point. A quick extra thanks to Gary at Via Moto in Sheffield. And those guys there, they're still open by appointment if you want to buy a bike. They're still selling lots of bikes. Please give them a call if you want to test ride this or any Aprilia, Honda, Piaggio, Moto Guzzi, Vespa. They're one of the best dealerships around, and I'm very grateful to them for supporting me and letting me do a few videos on their stock. So yeah, big thanks to them, much appreciated. Well, let's go and have a walk around of this thing. So, just want to give you a quick walk round really of this Piaggio MP300 Sport. So, I'll show you the boot first, or the under trunk, whatever you want to call it. This is quite a big bag. There's plenty of room in here to fit stuff. You'd fit a helmet in there and a bag easy, actually. Close that. So yeah, what do you think? It's a funny looking thing, I'm not gonna lie, but it's one of those things, isn't it, where I think it's more form follows function, because those two wheels on the front make it incredibly stable and really safe in bad weather and, you know, emergency braking situations. So you know, you see a load of these in continental Europe buzzing around, and I really do think there's a lot of potential for this for the UK and in London. I say potential, they sell a lot anyway, to be honest, but you can fit two up nice and easy. That, what I was moaning about that seat earlier, actually I realised is lumbar support. So it's really comfy, because that curve up there really does help you support your lower back. So that's pretty useful. You've got a handbrake here, all your usual controls that you'd expect. This here is the stabilizer. You can actually put them stabilizers on and just lift your feet off, and it'll hold you without the bike leaning over. And you can do that coming up to a stop as well. You've got a foot brake here as well if you want to use it. It operates both brakes, but both brakes are independent on the handlebars as well. Just to give you some specifications, because I know you love the specs. So this is a single cylinder 4-stroke 278cc. It's got 26.2 horsepower, 26 newton meters of torque. It does 88 miles per gallon, claimed figures. So you will go for miles on a tank of juice. So again, if this is for a job, you know, for a utility or for commuting, it's exactly what you need. It's electronic injection, liquid cooled, electric start, automatic gearbox. What else do we need to know? Twin hydraulic shocks here. You got 4-position preloads. You can adjust the preload on these, which actually might not be a bad idea, because I think they're a bit crashy. But if you can adjust them, then that's probably something I'd look to play with. You've got double discs here. Look, the braking is actually tremendous. It's really, really good. That's one thing that I was really impressed with. 258mm discs at the front, 240 at the rear. Obviously you've got 2 tyres on the front, 110s and a 140 at the back. The grip from it is really, really good, very confidence inspiring. You've got combined braking with ABS and ASR. Seat height for any of you shorties is 780mm. I mean, I'm 6'4", and I can't see anybody, even really short people, should fit on that. It's pretty low. It's got 11-litre fuel tank with a 1.8-litre reserve. What else is interesting? It's Euro 4 compliant for anybody who needs that. I mentioned this I think before, but because it's less than 2 meters in length and less than a meter wide, it's free congestion charge. Like, what more do you want? Quite like the colour. It's up to you. It's grey. You've got some nice grab handles here for pillion passengers. They're pretty handy. You've got a nice little glove box compartment here. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's a little hook for something. Get in the comments and tell me. Oh, I see. You got a little hook. That's cool. Fuel tank is under there. I don't think there's anything else you need to know about this bike. I think that's it really. Screen could be a little bit higher for me, if anything. Get a bit of buffeting, but again, it's meant for city pace, not necessarily dual carriageway and motorway stuff. So yeah, look, great little scooter, a bit different for the channel, but I did the Forza, so I said I'd have a go on something else just to give it some comparison. The Forza's faster and a bit more fun, but this is more practical and safe for city driving. That's your real quick summary. I'll do a wrap up in a minute around some twisties. But yeah, I really like it. I really do. Right, let's go and see how well it handles the bends. Right, so walk around complete. Let's just go and finish off with some twisties. I like to finish off with some twisties. Gives me a good overall feeling about the machine. Do you know what? It feels so stable. There's some more cool bends down here, so let's just go and do them. Yeah, it feels so stable, and I think that's, I mean, I was always a bit confused about these three-wheel things, but thinking about it and doing a bit of reading on them, you know, they are quite a bit safer than regular scooters, particularly in bad weather. And like, imagine if you need to brake while you're leaned over. As I said, this thing's got dual ABS, so if you're braking while you're leaned over, you've got a lot more control and safety with two wheels, and there's not that much wider. And going around these twisties, like, it feels super stable, and no, it doesn't feel hard to turn either. It's marginally wider, like sat here, than a normal scooter, but you'd squeeze through most gaps in town that you would do on a normal one on this, no problem. And that's the point of it, isn't it? It's less like the congestion charge thing. I think is, if it's less than a metre wide, 2 metres long, you get away with congestion charge in London. And that's why the 300 over the 500 is one that I've tested, because the 500 is just over 2 metres, so you have to pay congestion charge, but on this bad boy you don't. And I am not sure, I mean, I'm not, as I said, in summary, I'm not going to say this is fast, but I don't think you need much faster for what this is for. Does that make sense? This will go up to 60, 70, nice and steady away. It'll pull away from the lights at a good pace, and these twisties are nice and stable. So yeah, so my summary about this, and to wrap up and close on the video, I really like it. You know, it's a funny looking thing at first, I'm not going to lie. It's not what I would call aesthetically pleasing, but then again, probably a lot of people think that about me. But surprise, surprise. I know that's hard to believe. But from doing what it says on the tin point of view, you know, it's a safer alternative to a traditional scooter or a motorbike. The power delivery is fine, it's good, it's plenty of juice for what you need. The suspension, I'll be honest, the suspension's a bit rattly and it's a bit crashy, but again, you know, for what this is for, cruising about around cities, it's not a problem for doing that. It's just when you get more harsh bumps, it struggles to cope a bit. The handling's superb, really good, stand out actually for this. You know, like, I feel rock solid, rather than just having one wheel at the front. Having those two wheels gives you a much better sense of safety, and on something like this, that's quite important. You know, it's got ABS, brakes are great. You feel the back wheel ABS kicking in there, no hint of a skid, really good brakes. So for that kind of driving, you think in London you've got dipshits pulling out on your left, right and centre. It's like wacky racers trying to drive around London. So having good brakes and that ABS and these two front wheels to give you that added safety if you do need to jam on at a weird time when you're leant over something, that's the point of this. So as a commuter, a city scooter, something to use for work, for deliveries, you know, a bit of a get around town. If you live in a city and you don't want a car, you don't want to pay for car parking, I don't know, you might live in an apartment block, all these kinds of use cases. There's a massive amount of use cases for it. For that job, this is excellent, absolutely superb. As I said before, this is a sport version. You've got lots of spec on it. You've got the stabilizer, you've got different modes, you can show your voltage. You've got a trip counter, how many miles per gallon, how many miles you've got left in the range. There's everything you'd want on here, really. You can even link up your mobile phone to it. I believe that's an option, but you can link up your mobile phone to it and get lots of data out of it, which is pretty cool, on the sport model anyway. Like I say, the build quality feels great. I think these list price on Piaggio's website are $7,250, which is a reasonable amount of money, I'm not going to lie, but you get quite a lot of scooter for that. So yeah, he pays your money, he takes your choice, really. But for me, if I lived in London and I needed a scooter, this I would take over the Forza. Although the Forza's faster and a bit more fun, the additional safety from this is better. On comfort as well, it's really comfy. What I was moaning about before with this seat being a bit too small for my fat ass, it's not. It's actually raised up for the pillion, but it also doubles up as a lumbar support as well. And now I know that, and I've been using it as such. It's actually really comfy. It takes the weight off the bottom of your back a little bit, so I was pretty pleased to find that out. My only criticisms are suspension's a little bit crashy, but I'd forgive that for a city tourer. And it could maybe have a little bit more power, but again, you know, I've been out on some fairly fast roads, and that's not really where this bike's going to live, is it? So yeah, so all things being said, this is a grand little scooter, not my typical steed and the sort of thing that I would normally ride, but there's a lot of different people who watch my channel, and anybody who lives in a city or lives in London, you know, this is something that I would seriously consider. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that I actually end up moving to London at some point, depending on how work goes, and I would absolutely consider buying one of these for that purpose. So yeah, so look, I appreciate you watching. If you like the video, if you hit the like button, it helps to let other people know that the video is good. If you consider subscribing, it would be great. It does me a big favour, and it's free. I also put content out, behind the scenes footage, special content. You get early release of videos ad free, lots of different stuff on Patreon. Look up here. If anybody wants to support me on Patreon or just buy me a coffee for being awesome, then feel free. But thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all on the next one.